Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. Let's continue with the Bill of Exchange. And in today's class, we will see the important terms in Bill of Exchange and Promissory Note before actually we go into the problems and solutions. In the last class, we saw what are all the journal entries that we'll be processing in case of a Bill of Exchange, right? For example, when the uh, bill is made and accepted, then we have to take it to bills receivable account debit and then credit it to the person who is signing the bill, right? So as the person who is accepting the bill, right? So I, as a drawer, raise a bill on my creditors, and then I take it to bills receivable account debit to the creditors account or the drawee account, right? When the bill is presented for payment, then it is on maturity, it is bank account debit to bills receivable account. When the bill is discounted to the banks to get immediate money, then bank account debit, any discounts that bank is asking, so discounting charges account debit to bills receivable account. When the check is dishonored, then it is bills receivable account debit again to the bank account where you have to make the payment, and then transfer it to the creditors account, right? A account debit, sorry, transfer it to the debtors account. A account debit to bills receivable account credit. So that's how we process sequence of entries. We process and close it. Now let's understand what are the important terms that we have to use in the bill of exchange and promissory note, because the questions these terms will be of significance, because due to the calculation of due dates or the calculation of maturity date or expiry date, that can be calculated only when we understand the important terms of the bills. Right? What is the term of bill? There are two types of bills can be signed on two types, like term of a bill. Term of a bill is normally 90 days from the date of the bill. From the date of the bill. So, what is the date of the bill? The date of the bill can be when I prepare the bill of exchange or when the creditors accept. What can be construed as the date of the bill? Because it can be of any date can be of significance, right? So, suppose I draw a bill and sitting in my location and sitting in my location in India, and then drawing a bill on somebody sitting in uh, outside of India, or probably a different location within India, where the bills might take around 2 days to reach the person for acceptance, right? So due to courier delays or whatever, so it can take 1 or 2 days for the person to receive the bill and then accept it. So what is the date? What should be the date of the bill? Whether it should be the date on which I'm preparing it, or it should be the date on which it is accepted. So this confusion should come. So the bill has been drawn in, there are two terms that normally used in the bill of exchange. One is bills drawn after sight. After sight. This type of bills, due date to be should be calculated, or the term of the bill starts from the date bill is accepted. So the bills drawn after sight means the person accepting the bills, the date on which the person is accepting the bills, and that will be the start date. Then what is bills drawn after date? This says, like, if the term in the question, or rather let's understand the concept better, then we'll also relate it to the question answer. So if the bill is drawn after sight, means after citing the bill by the acceptor or the drawee. If the bill is drawn after date, means the date on which the bill is drawn. The term of the bill begins from the date of drawing the bill. So suppose I'm creating a bill of exchange today, the term starts today, right? And not on the date on which it is accepted by the drawee. Okay, then expiry or due date of a bill. Expired due date of a bill. So the date on which the term of the bill terminates is called expiry. Like basically, date on which the term of the bill terminates. It's called expiry or due date of the bill. Then we also have another term called days of grace or grace period um, or additional period. Rather. So that's given. This every instrument payable otherwise on demand is entitled to 3 days of grace. Why it is otherwise on demand? Because if the instrument is payable on demand means it is due immediately when the moment it is presented. So if a normal bill is drawn, it comes with a normal 90 days maturity period, right? From the date of from the bills drawn after date or after sight. Either way, it becomes due in 90 days time, and the expiry date will be 3 days from the date on which it is ending. But if the bill is drawn to be payable on demand means it should be paid immediately. There's no days of grace. Okay. So date of maturity of bill, the date on which the date which comes after 3 days, 3 days to the expiry or due date. It's called maturity date, right? If the bill is due today, it becomes if the bill is uh, due to be paid today, then it's 3 days to be calculated, and then the date of maturity will be after 3 days, 3 days grace period. So the maturity of promissory note or bill of exchange, if it is falls due, uh, is the date on which it falls due. Every promissory note or bill of exchange gets matured on the third day from the day it is expressed to be payable, except when it is except if it is specified to be payable on a particular date, right? The bill is said like it should be paid on demand or on site or on presentment. Like if the bill, see, it's a 90 days bill, and however the bill says it should be paid on presentment, that is on demand or on presentment or at site. Then in these cases, this grace period will not come in, right? So grace period is not applicable if the bill is drawn to be paid on demand or at site or on presentment. At presentment means the moment I present it for payment, it's due. So after presentment, it cannot be asked for 3 days grace because the bill has been accepted to be paid on demand or at site or on presentment, right? The next concept that comes in is bill at site. Bill at site, which is an instrument where there is no due date is mentioned, there is no payment date is mentioned. So bill at site is a term used when there is no due date or payment date is mentioned. So classic example of a bill at site is check. Check is an example of bill payable of an instrument payable on site, payable on site or on demand or on site, basically on site, right? So and then like a promissory note or bill of exchange is payable on demand when no time is specified, or when it is expressed to be payable on demand or at site or on presentment if it is specifically mentioned, right? That's what we saw. At site means presentment, at site or presentment means on demand. On demand. And an instrument which is payable on demand will become due when it is presented for payment. Right? And days of grace is not applicable. It's not applicable. Next example, next thing what we have to say is bill after date. Bill after date. We saw like this means like um, instrument payable uh, as per the date mentioned. The date is mentioned like it is payable on so and so date means it is payable after the date. A promissory note or bill of exchange is a time instrument when it is expressed to be payable after a specified period. See, there are two types of instrument. One is instrument at sight and instrument is after date or after pay after time instrument, right? So time instruments are payable when it is if after a specified period or after on a specific date or on a specific happening which is of an event which is certain to happen or after sight, right? So like instrument payable as per date mentioned is after a specified period or after a specific date, day or after sight, right? Or after happening of a certain event. So a check cannot be an instrument of a check cannot be a time instrument because the check is always payable on demand, right? Check is always payable on demand. Though the check can be drawn with a post dated check can be drawn with a post dated date, it still becomes an instrument of demand from the date it is drawn. Check is drawn on the date it is mentioned there. So the check becomes payable on demand from the date of the instrument. If the date of the instrument is 25th September, it is payable on demand from 25th September till 90 days because checks has got a validity of 90 days. After that, it becomes stale. Like let's see. Check is always payable on demand. Then again the question comes is there is a possibility of post-dated check. Right? Question will come. There is a possibility of a post-dated check. Here, the students has to understand there is no instrument at all. In case of a check, the check becomes an instrument only if it is properly dated and signed. A check without signature, a check without date. Check without date is like you cannot present it. Check becomes an instrument only if it is properly dated and signed. What will happen if the check is not, there is no date that is carrying on the check? It means I can fill in any date and the check becomes an instrument payable on demand from the date it is mentioned on the right hand top corner of the check, right? No instrument at all. There's no till the date of the check. The check becomes a demand instrument from the date it is mentioned on the top of the check, right? Now, let's get into the how to calculate the due date of a bill. How to calculate the due date of a bill, right? When the bill is payable on a specific date. That specific date, will be the due date. When the bill is made payable at a stated number of months after date, it becomes payable. It becomes payable on the date on which the term of the bill shall expire, which will be the due date. One classic example here. We're drawing a bill, say, on 30th September, or rather, we're drawing a bill on 31st January. That will be more easier example. We're drawing a bill on 31st. Let's take 31st January, and it says that 3 months from the date of after date, right? 3 months after date, the bill becomes due. The bill becomes due on February 28 or 29 days, March 31 days, and April 30 days, because it is mentioned 3 months. The bill is mentioned as 3 months from the after date, and the bill is drawn on January 31st. It becomes payable on April 30th. Because there can be argument that can come in, like February might have 28 days or 29 days. Should we add 30 another 1 or 2 days? And March has got 31 days. So should we calculate only 30 days for March? No. If the bill is mentioned as made payable after a certain months, then the last day of the month, calendar month, will be taken as the due date. Right? Last date of the calendar month will be taken or considered as the due date. This is more important to understand, because again, this type of questions can come in. The bill drawn on Jan 31st, payable in 3 months time. So students should not confuse like it's 90 days from the date. No, the bills drawn on 3 months or certain months from the due date, from after date or after sight. And if the date falls happens to be last date of the calendar month, then it is 3 months. The last date of the month in which it becomes due should be considered as the due date. A bill drawn on 31st January will become due on 30th April. Irrespective whether February has got 28 or 29 days, March has got 31 days, etc. If it is after 3 months from after date, it's February, March, and April. April 30th, it becomes due. Right? And then next question is like bills is made payable. Sorry, bill is made payable at a stated number of days. Stated number of days after date. So in this case, the date which comes after adding stated number of days. So in this case, suppose again the bill is drawn on January 31st and it says that 90 days, then it becomes 28 or 29 days, assuming it's 28 days in February or 29 days in February, 29 days in February plus 31 days in March and 30 days in April. So 90 days, it becomes due on 30th April. If February has got only 28 days, then it's, let me put it here. Bill drawn on 31st January. Then it has got 28 days in February, 31 days in March, 30 days in April, and 1 day in May. 90 days. It says that bill drawn has got a specified date and number of days. If the bill is mentioned number of days, and it's assumed that it's 90 days from the date of the after date, it means that bill drawn on 31st January will become due on 1st May. 1st May. So what will happen? The most important thing is date of bill should be excluded. Date of bill should be excluded. So when the due date is a public holiday, then it becomes payable on the previous day. When there is an emergency holiday, then it becomes payable on the next working day. Clear? So these are all some of the concepts that the student should understand. We'll go into the illustrations, and then there are some more important points that should be discussed as well before actually going to the question and answers, illustrations and exercises. So contemplate this and then go through this go through this particular topics what we discussed today. Come back to me for any questions or clarifications. You can always send an email to me at babupriya@reliefmail.com, and I'll come back to you with my clarifications. Thank you, friends, and have a great and wonderful day.